What's going on, y'all? It's your man Maurice. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to be going over another subject that tugs on the heartstrings a little bit, especially this brother right here, because this is something that I've brought up plenty of times in other videos if you have checking them out, and that is injury. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how you can overcome injury while you're on this personal fitness journey of yours. How can you bounce back from getting injured, and how can you train in the midst of being injured? So, without wasting any time, let's get straight into the facts. So the first thing that you need to do when you're dealing with an injury and you're trying to get back on your training game is first you have to get clearance from whatever medical provider that you're dealing with before you even get back into the gym, back to your weight training, back to whatever type of training that you're trying to do. Because you have to know when is the appropriate time to come back. See, most of us get injured and we like, oh, okay, some of us don't even go get it checked out. We're like, oh, we feel a little pain. Let's wait a couple of weeks, and then we're going to keep pushing. Sorry to admit to myself, but I have made that same mistake before, and it has cost me a lot of time in the gym because I haven't gotten the proper clearance to even go back and train. You know, don't be crazy like me. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Go make sure that your injury is taken care of and you have perfect clearance, specified clearance that you can even return back to your activities. Okay? Consult with your medical provider first. Disclaimer. Straight up. Next one. So now that we have got the clearance that we need to get back to our bullshit, the next thing that we have to do is strategize our training around our injury. And what I mean by that is, for example, let's say you have a shoulder injury. For my, using myself as an example, I tore or messed up my right shoulder. So what you want to do in the beginning phases of you training again after an injury is you want to make sure that you avoid certain movements that will cause too much pain, benching, a lot of pressing movements, or you want to reduce the amount of intensity and volume that you're doing for those movements so that way you're not putting too much stress on that affected area. This can also apply for any other affected area of the body. I was only using the shoulder as an example. This can go, let's say if you had a leg injury, you want to avoid most of the exercises that you would usually do, squats, maybe leg press, heavy weighted leg movements just for a little while, just to make sure that you're not putting too much strain on the legs. Same thing for the arms. If you have a bicep tear, you know what I'm saying, your back, if you messed your back up, you get the point. So you want to make sure that you are training in accordance with your injury and you're training around that injury so that way you are not putting too much pressure on that affected area. Make sure you plan strategically and really pay attention to the exercise selections that you choose when you are getting back on your fitness journey. You don't want to include something straight out of the gate coming back that's going to cause you to go right back to where you started. So, number dos, plan strategically before you return. Numero tres. The next thing that you need to do is start doing therapeutic movements that's going to aid in the recovery of your affected area, of where you are injured, and the re-strengthening or the strengthening of that area to prevent future injuries from happening again. And this is very important. And I've seen the beauty of this not only in my own personal journey, but I actually worked in the physical therapy field for about a year, and I've worked with plenty of patients who actually started doing therapy and started seeing a lot of improvement within their affected muscle areas and were able to get back to their normal lives because they were practicing certain movements, light movements, reparative therapeutic movements that got them back into the game and helped them strengthen the areas that were affected and that were weak and that were damaged and injured. So having to see that, it showed me that doing movements that are light, that are focused on strengthening certain areas that has been affected, strengthening weak areas, will help you get back to where you need to much faster than not doing anything at all and just jumping straight back into what you were doing. Okay, so make sure outside of your training, outside of certain things that you have, make sure, or maybe even before you even get back on your journey, start doing some reparative movements, some therapeutic movements that will help you strengthen the area that has been affected and also help you prevent future injuries to come. We don't want to be all messed up and chopped up on this journey. We want to have a long tenure in this lifestyle. And the only way to do that is to make sure that you are preserving, strengthening, and keeping things balanced for the future and for the now. So start doing some reparative movements. Get on. Last thing that I would say is do not rush the process of healing. Okay? Healing takes a long time. And, some of us don't have the patience for long time. You know what I mean? Especially if you love your lifestyle within fitness. And I resonate with you there. I resonate because, I had to be taken out of doing what I love to do. Recently, I cut my finger here, and stitches just finally came off for you guys who were watching the previous videos. And I still have to wait. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of pisses me off. But even as something as small as this, your injury may be worse and you may have to wait even longer. Therefore, you may have to practice a higher level of patience. And that can bring on a higher level of frustration. And trust me, if you love this, and I know how you feel, because this little stuff that made me mad, so I can imagine if there's a bigger injury that you have and you have to wait longer, especially if you love this, it affects you even more. But we have to remember that the process of healing is way more important than what we want to do in the moment. It is about the future. It is about longevity. It is about continuing doing what you love to do for the long haul and not being halted, you know what I'm saying, every step of the way because you want to keep going. You have to practice patience because you have to remember, for now you may have to wait, but if you do what you have to do, if you do the reparative movements, if you're strategizing your planning, if you're, making sure that you have all the clearance that you need, if you're doing everything in the proper manner in order to return back to your lifestyle in the gym, you will come back refined mentally. You will come back understanding how to approach things better. And you will come back refreshed, renewed, and re-enlightened. Okay? And we want to make sure we get on that path because that's going to help us in the future for making sure that this journey, this tenure in this fitness lifestyle, has a strong continuation and a strong foundation to lead us to, whatever levels that we want to achieve in our own personal endeavors, and I'm just rambling here, but it's very important that we do not allow our impatience because we're dealing with something that has taken us back a bit to push us into doing something that is going to take us back even further or take us out the game completely. You really don't want that, do you? So practice patience, let the healing process do its thing, and come back stronger than ever when the time is right. So that was my video on what you can do when you're dealing with an injury on your fitness journey. And I want to go in detail with this type of video again in the future. But for now, this should give you something to work with. This should give you something to chew on for right now. So that way, when you are getting back on your journey, you have tools and a mindset and something that is fresh on your mind that you can utilize in order to make sure that your return is a triumphant one. Okay? So this has been your man Maurice. I'm glad you shared this time with me here on the Apex Initiatives Strength channel, and you have a great one. Peace.